Sure, it's 3:30, so I suppose we can start.
Good evening, everyone. We welcome for the investor presentation of JAT Holdings PLC Q1 Financial Year 25-26. With me, we have Ilian Gunawardana, who is the founder and the managing director of the company, and Rizna Dilshai, the finance director and corporate planning director of JAT Holdings PLC. Any questions that you all have, you can ask in the Q&A box. You can type it, or else after we finish, we'll have a Q&A session where you could raise your hand, and then we will open the forum for you to ask the question. So the group overview of JAT Holdings in wood coatings in Sri Lanka, we have the market share of 56% with the brands Sealak, JAT Wood Coatings, Masters, JChem, and Boma. Brilliant White decorative paints with White by JAT and walls, and the latest addition, JAT Hydro Plus, we have a 7% market share. Brushes, again Harris and Brushmaster, we have 32% market share, which we are the market leader. In Bangladesh, we have the Sealak brand, JChem, Boma, and Cortex, which combined, we have a 27% market share in Bangladesh. And in Maldives, we have overall a 40% market share in the wood coatings with Sealak, Boma, and Masters. We have overall 520 employees in these three main segments and in the other verticals of JAT, and we operate in 10 countries globally. If you look at the macro factors in Sri Lanka, the political stability, I think Sri Lanka is experiencing a period of relative political stability, continued international confidence in Sri Lanka's fiscal reforms, and it is with the several IMF reviews, the successful reviews, there's a lot of stability. The tariffs imposed by US, I think finally today there was a 20% agreement, which I think again helps the country immensely in terms of stability. Consumer spending with the CCPI showing a 0.6% year-on-year deflation, right? So Sri Lanka has experienced a decrease in consumer prices during the last quarter. The disposable income is expected to increase steadily over the time. And with easing inflation pressures, purchasing power is expected to increase with more stable retail prices. Exchange rate is stabilized and employment index is rising. In the construction sector in Sri Lanka, the PMI for construction recorded a value of 58.6 in June 2025, indicating a continuous expansion in construction activities. This was also attributed to favorable industry conditions, particularly due to steady increase in project work and stable price levels at building material prices. In the macro factors in Bangladesh, yet there is political uncertainty that looms because the country is experiencing a certain amount of tension due to the election dates not being finalized. Tentatively, they say it's between December and February next year. But until election is finalized and the date is announced, there is yet a little bit of political tension in the country. But there's no significant violence or civil unrest reported so far. And the day-to-day activities and business activities continue without major disruptions. The foreign reserves remain stable, supporting import capacity and market confidence, where people were expecting a lot of import restrictions with the lack of foreign reserves, which we have not seen. Exchange rate has slightly appreciated, easing import cost and inflationary pressure. Interest rates have also stabilized. If you see in the charts, interest rates have slightly gone up. Foreign reserves are down, but from a month on month, it's a bit on the high side, and exchange rate has stabilized. If we look at our performance for Q1, we have a revenue growth of 3% for this quarter, but the GP has grown by 26%, and the GP margin from 30% has increased to 37%. The GP margin improvement is mainly due to the efficiencies of the acrylic binder manufacturing plant and the direct distribution saving in the Colombo district. So with that, there's another other income of 62 million, out of which 50% is from the commission obtained through the sale of a UV line for a leading customer in Bangladesh. If you are logged into the previous investor conference, I said that we have tied up with a group called Jardina, where we supply UV coating machines and wood coating machines to the industry. So this was the first sale of this year, which we did, which has under other income, which has more than 50%. If you look at the sales and distribution expenditure, it has increased compared to last year. And this is a timing of the advertising, which we decided to go for a more aggressive campaign in the first quarter compared to the previous year in order to increase the local sales of in the market. And again, if you look at the finance cost, there is about a 30 million increase, out of which 25 additional compared to the previous quarter is from the exchange loss that has been. So finance cost overall is the same. It's the exchange loss of an additional 25 million, which has the major difference of 40% is due to that. And if you look at the joint venture loss, that is again due to Australia having to recognize revenue in the next quarter. So this would ease off in the next few quarters. So with all of this, compared to 141 profit before tax for last quarter, we have done 166 million profit before tax, which shows a 18% growth with a PAT of 149 million as against 124 million with a 20% increase. The GP has increased by 26%, EBIT by 54%, PBT by 18%, and PAT by 20%. The local sales within the revenue, right? When I say local sales, the local paint and wood coating, decoratives, brushes, that segment has increased by 13%. The Bangladesh revenue from a BDT term has decreased by 10%, mainly due to we are comparing the quarter which before the economic issues and the civil unrest happened last year as against a quarter that is in the recovery. Because if you all remember, the civil unrest happened in quarter 2. So we are comparing a good quarter without any issue against a recovery quarter this year. That being said, I would say just a 10% gap shows that the Bangladesh market is recovering and that we are penetrating the market as well. EV charger revenue contribution from the total revenue is 8%. There is a separate slide on the EV charger, which are EV charging business, which I would explain further. The GP margin increase, like I said, 7%, which is growth planned and derived through the binder plant. There's a 3% operation profit margin as well through efficiencies and a PAT margin increase of 1% compared to last quarter. If we look at the balance sheet, all indicators are moving upwards from the last quarter. Net asset value per share has increased to I think about 20, close to 21. The earnings per share for the trailing 12 months has increased phenomenally with, if you see from Q1 to 3.57 in Q1 this year. The gearing has come down slightly. Market cap, there's a growth with the share market and with the confidence of the investors. Return on capital employed has increased to 17.84. So all the indicators in the balance sheet has moved upwards. If you look at the cash and cash equivalents in the balance sheet, also there's a 300 million plus there in the cash and cash equivalents, which I think has brought down the gearing as well. If you look at sector-wise performance over the 3 years corresponding quarters, you see wood coatings having a steady growth from 1,002 to 1,087 million to 1,148. So we have always pushed the wood coating sales, irrespective of being market leader. We continue to grow. There is a dip in the decorative sector from 279 to 206 to 170, which I'll explain in detail in a further slide. The brushes have increased from 49 to 72 to 74. Furnishing from 53 to 91 to 106 million. Foreign market 755, 705, 575, mainly due to the Bangladesh drop of about 10% and the conversion rate, because the rupee has appreciated. So when you compare in rupee terms, it gives a bit of a distorted picture. We would compare in the future slides the Bangladesh revenue in terms of taka. Right, EV chargers last year, Q1, there was a small revenue, initial revenue of 36 million, which has now increased phenomenally to 192 million. When you look at the wood coatings, market share is at 56%, and you would see an upward thrust in the market share. In this quarter, we have not got the completed reports from the third party, but which we will present in the next quarter. We are sure that we have increased the market share in this period. We have experienced a year-on-year growth of 6% in revenue, and the capacity utilization. If you all remember, last time we were at about 50% in the acrylic binder plant, and we said that this year we would push for an increased capacity in the binder, and we have increased it to 70% in Q1. The GP increase in wood coatings is 14% through the binder and through other R&D initiatives. We have increased our GP by 14%, and the loyalty base we have increased by 4%. Yeah, if you look at the decoratives, which is predominantly the brilliant white segment, a year-on-year decline of 18% was experienced in revenue, and mainly due to excessive competition with massive discounts to the trade, right? So the competitors, mainly the two multinationals, have been passing on trade discounts of up to 60 to 70% for pure market share. But the Consumer Affairs Authority has intervened and stopped excessive discounts being offered from 1st August this year. So we are confident that with this move, we would see a growth in the decorative segment of JAT Holdings as well. Because it would mean, because see, for multinationals, sometimes they can sacrifice profit and GP for market share. But being a Sri Lankan company, we were not willing to do that in order to get market share. But this new move would make it a more even playing field. We launched the Hydro Plus waterproofing paint. It was a new brand added to our portfolio, and we would see the customer traction coming in the next quarter in the decorative segment. Excuse me. Brushes and rollers, we have recorded a 4% year-on-year revenue. We continue to be the market leader, and Harris has had a 6% revenue growth, and Brushmaster a 1% revenue growth. We project that the market share, with the latest numbers coming in the next quarter, would see a steady growth in this segment as well. In the furnishing, again, we see a year-on-year growth, 17% in terms of revenue. We have secured furnishing contracts with Homelands, Greendale Retirement Village, and one-to-one apartments. Completed installation of high-end seafoam kitchens at the prestigious South Beach Waligama project. We have 201 million worth of confirmed projects in the pipeline in this sector, and we have increased sales through the new lifestyle studio. We also had a major sponsorship in the last quarter where we sponsored a golf tournament at the Royal Colombo Golf Club, which again targeted these luxury brands and the lifestyle studio. So we would continue to do a lot of these activities in order to get the traction to the lifestyle studios and to promote Herman Miller, Seaform, Opane in this segment. In terms of the Bangladesh market, if you see there's a growth, this is in terms of Taka. I said that I will compare it in terms of BDT because it gives a more realistic view. So previous quarter, sorry, the quarter before, financial year 24, 227 million Taka, increased to 236 million Taka, and this time it's 214 million Taka. So the decline is only a 10% decline. And again, I want to stress that we are comparing a quarter where there was no economic downturn, social downturn, and political instability against a quarter on the recovery, right? So there has been certain cash flow pressures on customers causing a little bit of a drop in the orders. The alkyd resin plant we have operated at a 86% capacity, and the first sale of the UV curing line to a major customer, where it's an ongoing effort of us to elevate the finishing levels in the Bangladesh furniture market. Okay, so EV chargers, this is something which I want to explain. I saw certain posts and all also about the EV chargers, the revenue and all of that. So just to clarify, we have done a sale of 192 million, which was recorded directly under JAT Holdings. It's coming under the company revenue. The initial technology was developed through a JV formed with a Saudi-based company and our technology partner. So there was an investment initially which we made, and we developed the technology. And once we developed the technology and that was complete, we split the regions where the Saudi company, again under Volcharge, took the Middle Eastern territories, and we took the South Asian and the Southeast Asian territories, and the other territories are common, right? Where we both could compete evenly. So in Q2, what you would see is a separate 100% owned subsidiary to be formed, which is actually incorporated at the moment, June 25th, we incorporated the company under Volcharge Sri Lanka. We would own 100%, but 16% equity to be transferred after the payback of the capital investment to the technology developers. We would transfer 16%. So this investment comprises at the moment 400 million, out of which 100 million is for testing equipment and assets related to EV charging, and 300 million for the development of the IP and the software. So this would be the main investment, which would be a part of, at the moment it's at the JAT, it's in JAT Holdings PLC, which would be transferred to the 100% owned subsidiary. And at the moment, we have sold 2,000 home chargers for BYD and 20 fast chargers at Keel Super which has been installed. I think we have installed, if I'm not mistaken, about 80% of them have been installed at the moment. Over 50 numbers of confirmed orders to external parties other than BYD and John Keel. So we are getting a lot of traction in the market with this, with the EV venture. JAT was ranked number 5 in the home finishing category by LMD and among the top 50 corporate brands in LMD Brands Annual Most Loved Brands list, right? Which shows the commitment to quality and brand value and the innovation that JAT Holdings as a company puts forward in the Sri Lankan market. Right. So I presented this, what to expect in financial year 2026 in the final quarter or the year-end presentation. So what I have done is a bit of a status report, right? So first thing we said was in this year, development of UV products towards the end of the financial year. So R&D is ongoing and the test equipment has arrived in Sri Lanka. So we are well on track on developing this. Then partnerships with Jardina Group for specialized equipment for finishing technologies for the wood coating industry. So already the first sale has materialized and the revenue of about 35 or 40 million worth of commission in rupee terms has been recognized as other income. Increased utilization of acrylic binder plant capacity, resulting in either increased market penetration or cost reduction. Capacity utilization, we increased up to 70%. We have penetrated the market more. And if you see, the cost loss has come down and the market penetration has happened. So both have happened through the binder plant. Further backward integrated manufacturing for Cerelac product range. Discussions are ongoing and we hope to conclude this in the next quarter. Uh, Increased market share despite being the market leader. Definitely, there's an increase in market share, but unfortunately, I can't share it because we have not got the independent reports yet. So, in the next quarter presentation, I will share the market, the Q1 or Q2 growth in terms of the market share in the wood coating sector. Emulsion increased sales through franchise outlets and new product offerings. So at the moment, a year-on-year sales growth of 75% was recorded through the franchise outlets. And you would see through this new Consumer Affairs Authority directive, boost in the sales of the decorative paints in the next few months. When it take when you we on brushes, launch of painting accessories. So the process is ongoing, and I think we hope to launch it in Q2 or early Q3. From a furnishing point of view, capitalize on the open agency obtained last year. We have a confirmed project pipeline of over 200 million for paint, doors, and kitchens. Increasing revenue through design services for kitchen and cabinets. The process is ongoing. Increased sales through JAT Lifestyle Studio. Increase in retail furniture sales is 47% compared to the corresponding quarter. In Bangladesh, further backward integrated manufacturing for Cerelac product range. The discussions are ongoing. Increased GP of product offering through R&D. This quarter, we managed to increase 2% compared to the corresponding quarter. Achieve 30% growth on 24-25 turnover with political stability. So this would come from Q2, like I said, because Q2 is where the drop happened. So you would see that visible in from Q2 onwards. Drive retail sales through newly developed Cortex product range. Again, the results should be seen in Q3. Increase sales through market revival in Maldives to increase the turnover by 100% year on year. I think the effects will be seen from Q2 and towards Q3. In Kenya, we said capitalize on the foundation set to increase the turnover by threefolds. Q1 revenue compared to the corresponding quarter has doubled. So you would see a steady increase and us moving towards that 3 times towards the end of the year. In Australia, we said furnishing recognized revenue on the orders already confirmed and in transit amounting to AUD 2 million. We have recognized 0.2 million of that at the moment. Increased sales based on the foundation set in the first year of operations. Again, this to be compared from Q2 onwards. In terms of Australia and wood coatings, commence developing the market after initial shipment in 24-25. So that process is ongoing where we are continuously working with the Australian distributor in developing that market. You would see the results in Q2. Southeast Asia, looking for opportunities for mergers or acquisitions in this region. The discussion and negotiations are ongoing, and we have moved quite forward in these discussions to a bit of a maturity state. at the moment in the acquisition. It won't be a merger, it would be an acquisition. EV chargers, we said confirmed pipeline of 2,000 home chargers for BYD, 20 confirmed fast chargers, and establish Volcharge as the leading electric vehicle charger in Sri Lanka. I think we have achieved all of this in the first quarter itself with the trend moving forward. Excuse me. What to expect in quarter 2 of this year? From a Sri Lanka perspective, paints and decorative increase the market share in wood coatings with aggressive strategy and maintaining that increased GP that you saw. So we would penetrate the market further with a very aggressive strategy, which is actually working. Even this month, which is the first month of quarter 2, we have seen our sales hitting all-time high in this month, and wood coatings increasing by about 80%, right, from our budgeted target. So that process is ongoing. Revival of emulsion paint market due to the consumer affairs intervention. It now is quite possible that we can penetrate this further on a level playing field. Launch of paint accessories into the market and further increase of the capacity utilization in the acrylic binder plant. We said it was 70% in Q1. Q2, it would be even more. In Bangladesh, there would be a growth compared to the previous year Q2. This year, when you compare the completion of Q2 this year, we have increased, or you would see an increased number of customers in Bangladesh because we are acquiring a fair amount of industries or industrial customers back to the ACL product portfolio. Then increase the retail presence in the market. You will see that also in Q2, and a further increase in the GP through continuous R&D. In Maldives, you would see an increase in sales in comparison with the corresponding Q2. Kenya, again, the same increase in compared to the corresponding Q2, and establish the JAT brand in the industries. This is happening quite well in Kenya at the moment. So we would really establish the JAT wood coatings brand in Kenya in this quarter. Asia Pacific, if you take, that is South Asia, Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, in the wood coating sector, you would see a probable acquisition during this quarter, or almost closing of a probable acquisition in this quarter, which would change the entire sort of image of JAT, which I would share further information once we are finalizing the deal on that. So a lot of exciting times for JAT in terms of that. And from Seaform Perth, completion of secured projects and establishing brand equity in the Perth market through the completion of these projects. We have a fair amount of staff now in the insulation business in this segment, which is creating a huge brand equity in that market, and we becoming a prominent player, or even maybe the leading player in imported kitchens in Perth, Australia. In the EV charger space, establishing the separate subsidiary under Volcharge Sri Lanka and further enhancing the position as the leader in EV charging in the country. Right, so this is what we are expecting in Q2. Yeah, so that ends my presentation for Q1 2025-2026, and we will move to the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Kushan has raised his hand. Kushan, you can go ahead and ask questions. Shalinda, can we let Kushan?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Thanks for the presentation and congrats on a good set of numbers. I have a few questions. First, to start off with the EV business, You had mentioned that you all have achieved a revenue contribution of 190 million. Would you be able to guide on the profitability contribution as well for 1Q? And if what you expect for the rest of the year? And the second question is on the Bangladesh market. You're expecting a 30% growth on a year-on-year basis. Would that be on the darker term, or are you mentioning that from an LKR perspective? And if I can squeeze in one more question, the last one is on the furnishing business. You mentioned that you have a 200 billion pipeline. How long would it take to materialize? Those are my questions. Thanks.
Right. Thanks, Kushan. So the EV charging business generates gross profit of around 30 to 35% and a net profit of about 20%, right? Because most of our overheads and all, we put it to the cost of sales there. So we expect a NP of about 20%. So with these projections, it's a little bit hard to project the next because actually we have exceeded our projections in the first quarter, right? So we hope that this momentum continues with EV charging and with BYD, right? And hopefully this other issue that they are facing will get sorted, right? And there would be a surge in EV chargers. So we expect this at least another 400 to 500 million revenue to be coming in by the end of this year. So that is a minimum, right? But this market is pulling a lot of surprises, so it can even be higher than that. But I would say on a conservative basis, about another 400 million into the top line at that same percentage, GP and NP. Also, when you asked about the Bangladesh growth, definitely Taka growth will be there. And even if you convert it, I feel the growth is even in a rupee terms, you would see a growth, a year-on-year growth or quarter-on-quarter growth in Bangladesh, right? Because last year, Q2 was one of the worst quarters and Q3 was a recovery. So definitely you will see in a rupee term these increasing. And the third question you asked was about the 200 million pipeline and how fast that would materialize. The 200 million pipeline would get materialized in the next 3 to 4 months. That should get materialized. So you would see a certain portion in Q2 and a certain portion in Q3.
Right. Can I just add to also some of the things that Nishal mentioned when he talks about the Consumer Affairs Authority, this directive that was given, that is a very, very important directive to the paint industry in total. So what was happening, ladies and gentlemen, was there was a lot of undercutting happening in the industry where the industry was taking a hit. JAT didn't participate in that undercutting, so obviously that's why we lost a bit of market share in the decorative paint industry. From the 1st of August, which is today, all six companies, all top six companies, which we are actually the president of the Paint Manufacturers Association in Sri Lanka, have agreed and given a commitment to the Consumer Affairs that no discount will be extended over 40%. So then it will be similar to the discounts we offered to the market, and that will help us to gain a significant market share in the decorative industry. So that happens from today, so that will help. Like Nishal said, the issues in Bangladesh happened in August last year. So this year we will obviously be in a recovery mode, and then we'll have no issues, and we'll have a far better quarter this year over last year August, because a lot of Bangladesh was closed in August. On the chargers, there's another question also that was asked about the 40% of Volt Industries that we owned, and how that relates to Volt Sri Lanka.
Yeah, so I think that, Ilan, that is the question that is typed in, right?
That's right. That's a question that is typed in. So before you answer that, Nishal, I wanted to also make sure that we mention not only in selling charges that will make this over 20% net profit on the 500 odd million turnover that we'll do. We will also have a recurring income on the charging that is set out there. There is there are large number of fast chargers set out in the whole of Sri Lanka. It is set out with volt charge, and we will have a recurring income coming from those chargers as well. So that is a long-term good return to us
Yes.
on the charging network.
So from the Keel supercharging ones, we get the recurring income after 24 months, right? And then anything else that we do ourselves, we will be getting it from the start. And there are certain other companies also who are speaking to us on a, say, we get 80% of the income and they get 20%. So we are looking at those models as well. I'll also answer this question. The JAT owns 40% of Volt Industries company as per this disclosure from September 2023. Is this mentioned in the AR? So the first point is in 2023, the 40% that we owned was in the Saudi company and it was an associate company there. So in this AR, it's not mentioned anymore because that company was now dissolved, right? Because that company was set up only to develop the technology, right? Develop the technology. So like I said, where both after developing the technology, the two markets were segregated. And now if you take Volcharge Sri Lanka is the part of this Volt industrial company, the South Asian part is Volcharge Sri Lanka, and they have in Middle East another Volt Industry Company Limited or some with a similar name where they do that market. Together also we will be doing some markets, right? So that is the setup. So this then the next question there itself is Volcharge Sri Lanka a different company to the above, which I answered. Supposed to be a subsidiary of JAT. Yes, this Volcharge Sri Lanka was incorporated on the 25th June this year. So that would be the revenues that we have taken in forms of capital and all of that. We would shift to this company in Q2 and manage it as a separate company because at the moment, because there was a transition from the Volt Industrial Company, the technology transfer to Sri Lanka, we were doing the EV business directly under the JAT Holdings umbrella. But in Q2, it would be under the Volcharge Sri Lanka subsidiary, which again is a 100% owned subsidiary by JAT. And once the investment is recovered, we would be passing out 16% equity to the technology developers that we are working with. Sorry, I don't see the other questions here. I'll check on from the other one. Yeah, are you seeing retail volumes really pick up as a volume growth to be very slow at the moment? And are you looking at potential price increases if volumes pick up? Right. So we are seeing a retail sector growth. More also, we are seeing our market share growing in comparison with some of the other companies, right? So there are certain internal issues with certain companies and certain other problems in certain companies which we are capitalizing on. So definitely we see the industry growing. We see our market share growing as well. And with that, at the moment, we don't see us increasing price if the dollar remains the same, right? So at the present levels, we would not increase price, but with this directive that came from the Consumer Affairs Authority, the discounts that we were giving in the emulsion sector was limited to 40%. Now we were giving, we'll say for example, we were giving a 50% discount. So with that 10% gap that we had, the prices were brought down in the emulsion range only at this moment. So from 1st August, there was a price being revised downwards, which would not have any impact on our GP because the discount has been capped at 40%. In financial year 24, Bangladesh's wood coating capacity was mentioned as 300,000, while in financial year 25, it was stated as 225,000. Which one is correct? Are these capacities based on a single shift? Okay. So I think what we are checking here is the amount of liters. I think what you are mentioning is 300,000 liters as against 225. So 225,000 liters is based on a single shift. 300,000 liters is a single shift plus a certain amount of overtime, right? About a 4-hour overtime, which gives us a 300, not 4 hour, actually, yeah, about 4-hour overtime, which gives us a 300,000 capacity there. So, if you look at the maximum capacity in Bangladesh with a shift that is not a double shift but with more OT, I think we can move towards 300 to about 350, 350,000 even in Bangladesh. Once the venture is properly set up, JAT Holdings will own 84% of Volcharge Sri Lanka. No, initially we own 100%, like I said, in Volcharge until the payback is over of the capital, right? That is that 400 million capital which we have put. Thereafter, yes, we would own 84% going forward, right? But until that, we would consolidate 100% until the payback is over. Just to clarify, does the Kahatudua plant produce 800,000 liters each of wood coatings and decorative paints per month separately, or is it 400,000 liters of each? No. So the total capacity or the total what we produce at the moment is around 400,000 to 500,000 liters combined of wood coatings and decoratives in Kahatudua, right? But again, we have capacity there also to increase it to about 800,000 by increasing the overtime, etc. One more question. Why Indian rupee sales mentioned as negative? Rishna, would you like to take that, please?
Yes, yeah, that is basically a sales return which came in during the second month of the first quarter.
Yeah,
But
so
I think we'll need to mention, Nishal, we'll need to mention that there's a change with the whole approach towards India. We opted with Sherwin-Williams to have the right to manufacture Sherwin-Williams in Sri Lanka on the grounds that we gave up Sherwin-Williams in India. So we are the only country in the world from most probably in the next month or two, the agreements are just being signed up, that will have the right to manufacture Sherwin-Williams Select brands anywhere in the world. We'll be the only country. I think we touched on this last quarter as well. So we were able to do that so that we can manufacture here and ship it to any other country other than India. So in India, we are launching the JAT wood coating brand from maybe the next quarter onwards, and that's why that showed as a negative there.
yeah, also
Is that
another point. Sorry, another point on India is one reason strategically that we agreed to this also is importing Sherwin-Williams from Italy and selling in India due to the cost is not a feasible model, right? So we felt that using our own product in India would be more lucrative than going ahead importing it to India.
And we can also state the fact that once we not only got the right to manufacture the Sherwin-Williams brand, we compensated for it as well.
Yes. Yeah, so there's another question. What is the current order book for the wood coating and emulsion paint segments related to condominium and high-rise projects? So we have a category other than retail where we take as industrial and condominium together, right? So in that we usually do about for a month we do maybe 80 to 100 million worth of sales in that category. It's a little bit difficult for me to break it into the industrial and the condominium ones, but yeah, I would say for a year, now if you take the rest of the year, we would have a project pipeline in both of these categories of about maybe 600 to 700 million, out of which I feel about 20% of that is in the condominium sector, right? But that I need to verify a little bit further, whether it's 20% or a little bit more, but approximately that should be the figure. Any other questions? Okay, so that's all the questions that were asked. If anyone else needs to ask any other question, we are happy to take your.
And I would also like to hear if anybody has any comments on the method we conduct this. There are any feedback as to what else you all would like to hear during these sessions. We would obviously accommodate those changes if there are any. You can raise your hand and speak, please, if there's anything that you all would like to, any difference that you all will like to see us and how we conduct this.
No.
Okay.
Sorry, one more question just came in. Do you see hotels coming back for refurbishment, or is there not much confidence in that sector? No, we would see a certain amount of hotels coming in for refurbishment in the next 6 months or so. So that would also be a market for wood coatings and also for decoratives.
And there are a lot of resorts being developed in the Maldives, since of late, which is also a significant market for us. So we have a lot of plans for the Maldives, where we might even double our sales from last year. There was one
No,
hand raised.
we are going to double it, Ilian. From last year, definitely.
Yes.
That would be. There's one hand raised, Shalinda. We
Yeah, he
we are.
can unmute the mic and he can speak now.
Shan, do you mind unmuting and speak, please?
Hi, thank you. Hi, thanks again for your organizing this even on a regular basis. I appreciate your efforts. It's a great help for us in the research, especially. Thank you. And I have a small suggestion for you all in the quarterly reporting. Now you are giving the geographical segment, right? So if possible, in the upcoming quarters, if possible, kindly give the segment based on the products. That will be much appreciated. Thank you.
Right, we will look
Do
at
you
that.
want to?
Yeah, that's possible.
Understand? Okay.
Yes, that's possible.
Thank you, Vish.
Sorry, one more question just came in. There are two more. Sorry, two more questions. How is this agreement on paint discounts going to be enforced? So, to answer that, the main paint manufacturers have formed an association, right? So that is JAT, Nippon, Asian Paints, Lankem, Multilac, right? With AkzoNobel not being a part of it, but collaborating with us and agreeing on certain decisions. So this was, we spoke to the Consumer Affairs Authority, and the Consumer Affairs Authority spoke to us as a group. And then the PMASL, the Paint Manufacturers Association Sri Lanka. So we took a decision amongst ourselves that we would stick to this, right? We would give only 40% discount, and everyone has agreed. And then we wrote back to the Consumer Affairs Authority stating that we would stick to this, and because it was a directive, right? And the Consumer Affairs Authority also stated that in future, if we give more than 40% to the dealer, that they would be taking action as well, right? So we as a group, we have agreed on that, and it was enforced on the 1st of August. That is actually today it was enforced. And we have also spoken amongst us stating that if we find that any one of us is breaking that, we would first speak to them and also inform the Consumer Affairs Authority on that as well. Along with that, for the ones that the 40% where we were giving excessive discounts of, we'll say 60% or 65%, the price was also revised downwards by about 20% to the market, right? So that means the space to play has also come down, right? So automatically, if you give a discount above that, it would eat into your profits as well. Right. Sorry, one more other question just came in. Just to clarify, is the capacity utilization level in the binder plant 70%? So at Q1, it was at 70%. Last year, it was at 50%. Q1, 70%. Towards Q2, it would be about 100%. And then we are doing a bit of expansion also because we see that we would penetrate the market further. So with that, Q3 would come down with the expansion, and then Q4 would be even a more expanded capacity there.
This binder plant was a part of our listing promises, isn't it?
No, William. No.
No, okay.
Binder plant, we did it subsequently.
Addition. Yeah.
Yeah, additionally. Yeah.
Okay, Kushan has raised his hand again. Kushan,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah, just one more follow-up question from my end, especially with regards to this binder plant. We've seen a very notable increase in GP and EBIT margins since the commissioning of this plant.
Yes.
Question to Nishal, do you think, as we still have a bit more space to go on the capacity utilization, do you think we've leveraged all the margin benefit from this plant, or do you think there's more room to improve margins? Thanks.
Sorry, Kushan, can you repeat your question again?
Yeah, it was on the capacity utilization of the binder plant, and you were indicating that we would see further increase in that capacity utilization, and we've
Yes.
also seen the margin benefit come through since the commissioning of this plant. So just wondering, do you expect there to be further margin benefit to gain from this, or do you think we've already seen all the margin benefit?
No. We would see a further margin increase because this is 70%. So that's why I said that we are very aggressive with the wood coatings, where we would want to achieve 100% capacity with these margins and penetrate the market further, right? So that's why I said Q2. Actually, we are seeing it we actually saw it in June and in July, in these months where we really sort of push the wood coatings into the market. We have relaunched the loyalty scheme, right? We are doing a certain campaign on it, right? With all of these activities, I would say that we have increased market share, and you would see a further increase in Q2 with further pushing it forward to 70 to about maybe 85-90% in
And
Q2.
even with the Sherwin-Williams production coming in, we'll need more of the binder, right?
Yes. So yeah, again that
Increase.
capacity would get filled with that.
Just that.
That's it. Right. That's all.
There is one other question. Please consider publishing numbers in 1,000 multiples. Rizna?
Yeah, we look at that option. We'll discuss that and see it. And they want it published in millions, thousands,
Oh.
without the 3 last digits.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay.
Right.
Nisha,
Okay. Thank you very much for your continued support and for joining these investor presentations. Also, as Elian said, if you all have any comments, you all can even reach us or call us personally or message, right? And state that what else that you all would want to know or something like that, right? And we would be looking at those quite favorably. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
the best to you. Thank you, Nisha and Rizna. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.